In this video, we'll look at how the registration process works for those that want to access the Social Security portal. Typically, we're talking about individuals or employers. The individuals can be regular employees, self-employed people, voluntary contributors, or even survivors. Employers can be regular employers or healthcare providers. There is another registration option for financial institutes also. Each one of these entities will have their own set of data to be collected for registration purposes, and therefore the registration forms for each will be different also. We will now start by registering 2 employees, and afterwards we will also register an employer. The first employee is Manuel Gonzalez, for which we will just fill in the basic information that's required based on this country-specific form. Among the supporting documents, we will choose a birth certificate for him, as well as a copy of a passport. These are the only supporting documents required in this particular case based on the setup that has been configured. We'll submit this information and then we'll do a second registration for another individual. The next person to register is Juliana. Again, we will complete similar information for her here. We will list her marital status as married, which means that the system will ensure that the maiden name becomes a mandatory field and the marriage certificate also becomes mandatory. We will upload a birth certificate for her, as well as a marriage certificate and a passport photo. Then we'll also include her email. Here we'll indicate that she is not a medical practitioner, and we will fill in her street address. Now that I have registered 2 individuals, we will proceed next with registering an employer. This employer will be the company for which both of these individuals are going to be working. Our sample company was started in April of 2022 and was founded by Manuel Gonzalez. This means we can enter all the relevant details now. This employer is not a healthcare provider, otherwise we'd be adding relevant healthcare provider license information. Now, we also need to add banking information for the employer. We can upload a copy of the business license and registration number. Under the economic activity, we're going to specify that this is a supermarket. So let's go now and look at what that would look like from the viewpoint of someone working for the Social Security Administration. At this point, we're logging in as an individual who works for the Social Security Administration. His name is Aaron, and among many other tasks, he is responsible for the Social Security access requests, which are visible here. These are the 2 recent individual requests that came in, as well as the one for Grupo Gonzalez. We can now see how Aaron can process these requests. First, we'll start with the one for Juliana Gonzalez. After approving, Aaron will create her username and password. This can, of course, also be auto-generated by the system. In my case, I am manually assigning a username and password. Secondly, we have the request for Manuel Gonzalez. Aaron can view all supporting documents, including the birth certificate and the passport details, if he wants to before approving this request. In other words, each one of these items can be viewed separately. This way, papers can be eliminated from the process, and anyone authorized can view the scanned documents instantly. We'll now have Aaron approve this request and issue the right credentials for the new users. So far, both cases are completed. The registration has been approved, and a username and password has been provided for both. Next, we'll look at the employer's registration here. The e-services access request for the new company can be seen here. You will notice that we can further fine-tune the classification of the economic activity because the employer gave us only a general description using an open text field. But this Social Security organization uses very specific internal classification based on the International Industry Classification Codes, or ISIC codes. Therefore, the user has the ability to select from a list which is categorized by every type of industrial activity. Moving on, we can now assign a username for Grupo Gonzalez and also set the password for them. In summary, we have processed 2 registrations for individuals, and our new employer submitted a registration too, which was subsequently approved and processed. Now we're going to take a look at the next step.